requirements for women and adolescents, especially in their reproductive ages. Folic acid is a natural occurring vitamin B which enables cell development. Persons with sickle cell cannot go a day without their 400 milligram of folic acid. For pregnant women especially, it also reduces the risk of the fetus developing neural tube defects such as spina bifida, hydrocephalus, and what have you. Depending on one's preference, a pack of folic acid costs as low as 1 cedi to about 20 cedis. Yet most women ignore the need to take folic acid. As we mark Folic Acid Awareness Week, the International Federation of Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus wants advocates to consider this, that folic acid awareness and the turning point. Today, I will be discussing the need for women to be taking folic acids daily with 3 guests, but I have in the studio Miss or Mrs. Alphacos J. Adai. She is a travel consultant, an entrepreneur, and an advocate of spina bifida and hydrocephalus. Until recently, she was also a mother of a girl with who was born with spina bifida and hydrocephalus. Unfortunately, we lost her last month in December. Welcome to our studios, Alphacos.
Very much.
And our deepest condolence for your loss. I mean, we've been arranging this program hoping that we could have her in the studios share with us some little experiences from her preschool, but we are sorry for your loss. Can you tell us, I mean, we are talking about Folic Acid Awareness Week, but one of the reasons why women need to take folic acid is to avoid the fact that, or prevent incidents like spina bifida and hydrocephalus and all that. Can you share with us your experience? How did it happen from the start?
Okay, it started from the pregnancy side. Actually, I didn't really know I was supposed to take folic acid each day. All I knew was because it's my second child that I gave birth to who had the issue with spina bifida. So when I perceived I was pregnant, what I did was I went to the antenatal and I went through that antenatal process. And during birth, you know, I went through a cesarean. That was when the doctor said, when the baby came out, it was like alpha, spina bifida. But then it was my first time of hearing it. It was my first time of hearing it, so I didn't really know what spina bifida was all about. So I asked that they showed me the baby and they turned the back. That was when I saw the round thing at the back of my child. And I saw it has affected the leg. So she came out with a club foot. Okay. So I didn't really know what to do. And she was asking, Alpha, did you take enough folic acid? And I said, yes, I did, plus other multivitamin. But you know, you see with spina bifida, it happens like the first month or first day. That's when the whole thing happens. So exactly. So exactly. So with whether you are able to take enough multivitamin or whatever, the harm has already been done. Yes.
So when you saw the baby, what was your first reaction?
I was shocked. I was asking myself, what didn't I do? What was I supposed to do that I didn't do? Why? Like, why? Everybody would say, why me? Why me? Like, why such an innocent baby? And I was looking at, I saw the leg, and the foot too has been affected. And when it affects the foot, it affects the shape of the leg as well. Okay, so I was just, at that point in time, I was just looking at the way forward to help her. That was all that was just, how do I help her? How do I help her? Like, this was what, so I started making calls and reading to find out what's next to do for the girl. That was how come I got to meet a lot of doctors, and we started from correction of the back, and fortunately that very day they placed a shunt. To the glory of God's name, it was successful. And so when the wound healed, then we came to the foot. We went and we worked on the club foot. That's also a process, like a gradual process. And they wanted to know if she will walk. You know, kids with spina bifida, it's not everybody that can. Yeah, exactly. But then, by the grace of God, my daughter didn't really. She had a mild, like it was mild. So I said she could use the leg. So she was really using a walker. After the last surgery on the leg, she began using a walker. That was how her own started. So at the end of the day, it's been tough. It was tough, but I can say that gradually we were having a success story. Yeah.
So initially you said that you didn't know that you were supposed to take
no,
folic acid before. I mean, before pregnancy and even during pregnancy. I mean, this is some what most women, the excuse of most women, that they didn't know they were supposed to take folic acid before and during and even sometimes after, because as a woman you're supposed to be taking folic acid daily once after adolescence. So, I mean, you said you didn't know. Was that your first pregnancy?
No, it was my second pregnancy, but I didn't know. I didn't know because the whole thing with the pregnancy and the back and forth, I really didn't know. And I was like, I didn't know what was the cause. Like, and I always blame it on the educational level, you know. How will a lay person know that I'm supposed to take this each day? Because under normal circumstances, we all think that when we eat this type of food, it comes in like it replaces exactly. But no. And my question was that means at the end of the day, it's not. You know, I know some people, they don't even go for antenatal, yet their babies come out right. But it depends on the body, like the person's system. So I blamed it on the education. That's why at the end of the day, we are here to make things right.
Exactly. We'd like to take a break. We'll be back right after the break to continue the show.
Get ready. Ready for super duper experience.
Quality entertainment.
Real issues, real opinions from fashion, tourism, arts, music, movies, and many more. It's time for something unfiltered. Spectacle, a new television entertainment show ready to correct refractive errors in the creative arts industry. Spectacle, real entertainment, real people. Spectacle. Yabba. Nayaba. Spectacle.
It's all about entertainment.
Yes, tell it safety first, yeah? Carry on.
Officer, are you doing the devil's work too?
Oh, yes, the pay is good.
But this driver could cause a lot of damage, you know.
Oh, who cares? Upon some age, they no pity you. Everyone for himself.
Aren't you worried the service will dismiss you for conflict of interest?
Who's going to tell them about me? You?
You are setting a bad example.
Am I the first to do this? Oh,
do you see yourself stopping this job anytime soon?
Not even in my dreams. I should stop for what?
But do you feel sorry if bad things happen?
Anyone that falls on the bad side has a natural selection to blame.
Are you sure you are not the devil?
Make you not do Abonsamejuma. Stay alive. This Stay Alive campaign is brought to you by the National Road Safety Authority.
Get ready. Ready for super duper experience.
Quality entertainment.
Real issues, real opinions from fashion, tourism, arts, music, movies, and many more. It's time for something unfiltered. Spectacle, a new television entertainment show ready to correct refractive errors in the creative arts industry. Spectacle, Real entertainment, real people. Spectacle. Yabba. Nayabba. Spectacle.
It's all about entertainment.
Welcome back from the break. Before we went on the break, we were talking about the importance of taking folic acids daily as a woman once you attain adolescence. And I have in the studios Madame Alpha Kos Eje Adai. She's a travel consultant, an entrepreneur, and an advocate of spina bifida and hydrocephalus. She was sharing with us her experience. She, until recently, she was a mother of a girl with a spina bifida. Unfortunately, we lost her last month, but she's still advocating for spina bifida and hydrocephalus anyway. We've also been joined in the studios by Patrick Kusi Isuman. He is the Executive Director of Rickman's Foundation. Rickman's Foundation is a health-based advocacy NGO championing the cause of spina bifida and hydrocephalus issues in the country. The NGO is a member of the International Federation of Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus. You're welcome into our studios.
Thank you, Auntie Sarah.
Okay, so before we went on the break, our focus was just sharing her experience with us that she didn't know prior to pregnancy she was supposed to be taking folic acids and after that. And she also mentioned the fact that education on that aspect is very low. Can you tell us, as a foundation championing such a cause, what kind of education you've been giving out to the public since you started this course?
Thank you very much. When we started with our movement of creating awareness on spina bifida and hydrocephalus, first what we identified was the misconceptions that the people of Ghana have about the condition. So our objective is to tackle the misconception, try to educate the people of Ghana to come to a point that hydrocephalus and spina bifida is not a spiritual stuff, but it's a medical thing that we need to tackle from the medical background. So that has been our campaign from 2019. We started the movement. So in 2021, then we started the movement of prevention of spina bifida. That's the intake of folic acid. So 2021 January, every January is the World Folic Acid Awareness Month. So we celebrated the World Folic Acid Awareness Week at which on 2021 January, and then from there we started a campaign trying to let people to understand the need to take folic acid at least 3 months before conception, because we came to a point that we realized that with the spina bifida condition is as a result of deficiency in the vitamin B9 that causes the deformity in the spine and the brain as well. So now folic acid is a supplement. It's a supplement that we derive from food or man-made supplement, getting from the food like the green foods that we take. But taking the green food alone, the folate that you get in the green food is not adequate enough to build a new cell that will help with the development of the body. You know, the folic acid help with the blood level folate in our body, which helps to have a blood division growth. Yes. So when we came to the point where that we realized that the people of Ghana, especially our mothers, only take folic acid when they are pregnant. And at the time you are pregnant, you realize that you are pregnant, you might get into your second month. And the development of the central nervous system, which is the brain and the spine, takes place within the first trimester of pregnancy, that is first 3 weeks of conception. That's where the development of the central nervous system takes place. So when a mother has low red blood cell, it affects the development of the fetus. And at that time, you might not know what is happening within the womb because you did not plan for that pregnancy. So the time you realize that you are pregnant, you go and take the ultra scan, you realize that the baby might come out not fully complete, have some kind of deformity. So when we get with the International Federation of Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus directives and others, started, okay, let's start, campaign, especially with the developing countries, to come to a point that they should start administering the folic acid drug, which is from 3 months before conception. Though someone would say that maybe eat the green food and that stuff. I've earlier said that the green food and others, you get the folate in, but the microgram that you need is not enough. It's not adequate. That's where the needs comes in to go with the folic acid as you are preparing yourself to conceive.
It's not only even for conception reasons. I mean, once you turn adolescent as a girl and as a woman, you should be taking it daily. I'm even a culprit. I usually forget to take it daily. I mean, so let me come back to you, our focus. You have shared with us what happened, but when you were taking scans during pregnancy, during the various trimesters, was it not noticed?
No, please.
It wasn't.
Not at all.
And let me ask you today, if it had been noticed, would you have accepted to probably do away with the baby?
No.
You wouldn't?
No, I wouldn't at all.
Okay. I would ask for your reasons later. I mean, knowing the kind of pains such children go through. Yes. Okay. So let's share with us when you had your baby, you took the baby home. How did family accept it? And the kind of treatment that was meted out to you by maybe the public. Did you have to hide your baby all the time? What happened? Tell us.
Okay, like this is a great opportunity to share this, and I believe these will encourage others as well. After surgeries, after the first and the second surgery with correcting the spine and placing a shunt, my daughter's foot was like this, exactly as is being shown.
Okay.
And I went home. Yes, I went to, I used to, that was time, I used to stay at my husband's house, like a family house. I went home, and that was the opportunity for me to educate others, because I was reading a lot. When I realized my daughter has such a condition, I had to read to know the way forward. So when somebody sees the child, oh, such a beautiful girl, oh, what happened? And they always see the leg. It didn't affect the head, nothing. So they will just see the leg and say, oh, clubfoot, send her to this place. This person can break the leg and then replace it. I didn't do any of them. But rather, I went through the appropriate channel. We went to fix cast, blah, 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 and then we went to Joan Quanta to do that. But I didn't have any issue with my husband's family. Neither did I have any issue with my family. Rather, my husband's family, they were really and extremely supportive. They supported her even till the last admission when she passed away. Yes, and that goes well when the education level is well communicated to. Yeah. So indeed, they were really inclined about the whole thing, and all that everybody wanted is the way forward. I never had any issues. When she had the cast, you know, cast is a bit heavy on them and the stuff, and so people would ask, and I used the opportunity to educate to them what really happened, like how it is, how we're going from end to detail. And then that was when I developed the interest to advocate, because if I had heard about this prior to, I would have been a bit careful, you know, but because I didn't know, I also took it upon myself that then there is the opportunity for me to also let people know that there's something called hydrocephalus, spina bifida, that if lack of folic acid can cause. Even whilst we were at Comfort Noche, mothers with such conditions were still taking folic acid. I had to go to them individually and to ask them, are you taking your folic acid? Are you taking, oh no, I said folic acid is very cheap. Please,
it is. I mean, you one CD, as low as one CD,
yes, and you get
easily take it for granted.
So I never had any issues with my husband's family. Rather, they were very, very, very supportive. They supported us, and I was amazed. I'm still amazed.
Okay. So did a child go through her developmental milestone normally, or?
Yes.
Okay.
She went through her developmental milestone normally. The doctors were shocked, because first of all, they told me that, you know, doctors, they talk about book, okay? It's written, this. But then I also have a different way of doing things. So they told me she might not crawl, sitting will be a problem. Then as for standing there, it was a 0. But then when after the surgery, I positioned her in a way that a child will crawl, because I already have a child. I had one before, so I still have him. So I will position her. It was at that point, it was a bit difficult, you know, because of something that went wrong in her system. So we would practice, and gradually we got there. So she was able to crawl. I sent her to the hospital. I showed her to the doctors, and they were amazed. And then when it got to her walking, she walked. Okay, she sitting was okay. And then walking, it was really difficult. That was a very challenging moment, where we had to get her a walker, and then we had to teach her. But the feet were to be shaking, and the foot was not stable, so we had to get particular shoes for her, and then we had to always, like, she would be doing physio at the hospital, because that one would take maybe an hour or 30 minutes, but at home we get time for her. You do it, but 2 hours you sit down, and later she wouldn't let you do any physio with her. She'd rather get the walker, and she's good to go.
Okay.
Yes.
So another aspect, or another thing that children with spina bifida and hydrocephalus have, which is for life, is that they are incontinent, meaning that they can't feel, they don't have the sensation to urinate or to pass stool and all that. So as and when their bowels are full, they just discharge it like that in public and all that. So can you tell me how you had to even deal with that? I mean, all the time, because you never know when she was going to swallow herself.
Yes. The issue is that I always say, the moment I get to know this is a problem, it's good I know this is my problem. Then I can know how to channel my energy. That is how it started. The moment I got to know she's going to have a bowel problem, a stool, what I did was I started potty training. Okay, I started potty training, and later you will be there. She'll tell, "Mommy, I want to poo. Mommy, I want to pee pee," and you go and she'll do it.
Okay.
Sometimes she'll even walk there and she'll do it. But she'll go to school, and one reason or the other, she'll soil herself. We go to public, and upon all that, the scary aspect is that when they bring out the urine, they are not able to bring them out like all of them.
Entirely.
So they get stuck. Some get stuck. That causes the UTI.
Okay.
So they are prone to UTI.
Meaning urinary tract infections.
Yes. So I was always like, I potty trained for her, and then I have a time that I always, when the time is up, I need to change her, whether she has soiled herself or not. I would have to make sure she's clean. And I think by so doing, I was trying to prevent the high rate of UTI, because sometimes she might soil herself, and she herself gets tired of telling you that mommy, so she feel as she was
feels
going,
bad
she was
about it.
exactly, she was
Okay.
becoming emotional about the whole thing. So she will soil herself. Say, Pearl, why didn't you tell me? She said, mommy, nothing. And I said, no, feel free, like let me know. And she would tell me, oh, I thought maybe you changed me not quite long, and especially when she has diarrhea. And she will say, oh, my stomach, mommy, why? And she will begin to ask emotional questions that at the end of the day you would have to put yourself together and console her. And then you say, at the end of the day you answer all her questions. And if it doesn't go well, she will still ask again. So it's better you really try to do well with that explanation. So with the issue with the bowel, and we used to do intermittent catheterization. Okay, so we catheterized for her. So we kept catheterizing until it got to a particular point in time. During that particular moment, the PP will come. Yes, and we used to do bowel wash. So the bowel wash is to prevent the stacked up poo-poo inside her. So we will flush some particular water inside, and then it will flush out. It will bring out all the
residues.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then it will make her free. But that one too, you have to be calculative about it. If not, you might let her get diarrhea, and it doesn't really look nice when they have diarrhea. Like do they stain herself, and she really feels ashamed about it.
So I mean, coming from what you're saying, it's not enough the psychological trauma you feel as a mother, but the child. I mean, you had opportunity. She grew up. She went to preschool, and she probably got it. What were some of the questions she asked you? I mean, that made you probably felt so down about it.
Yes, she would say, mommy, she would ask that, mommy, why am I using a diaper at this age? Because in her class, nobody uses a diaper. So I don't know how she got to know that. Maybe she was looking through people's bags or something. But she said, mommy, why am I using a diaper? Can't I stop using diapers? I said, we are getting there gradually. And then she would ask again that, why am I always making poo-poo on myself? And now I told her, please, we are different people, different individuals. You just have to know you are unique. This is what I always tell her. I said, Pearl, you are a unique child. You are special. We can't compare ourselves to others, but know that God created us in his unique way.
Did she buy into that? I mean, because her colleagues may be teasing her.
Yes. Sometimes it gets into her that she didn't really, sometimes she feels down going to school. I'm being honest. She say, mommy, I don't want to go to school. Why? She said, I'll put on myself. And it breaks my heart. But then one thing about the school is that they were, and they've been really supportive. I catechize for her, the school does too. They have a school nurse, they have a bay.
So, was this a special school or the normal?
No, it's a normal school.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Pearl went to a normal school.
Okay. Was it easy finding a school for her?
No.
Okay.
But that school was easy.
Okay.
At Accra here, I went to a lot of places. They've not even seen her. They'll tell me, I learned you came with your daughter. Unfortunately, we don't have the facilities for her. And I was like, you need to see her. Just explore. Let her show you what her capabilities are. I said, no, madam, we cannot, we don't have the facilities for her. But that very school, the moment I got there, the owner of the school said, bring her.
Accra based or Kumasi?
Kumasi.
Okay.
We said, bring her. Even Accra, the owner of the school that she was attending, she's a doctor. She took her in. They were doing everything for her. And I really appreciated, they made my daughter feel loved. Okay. And that's when we went to Kumasi to like the same thing. And they had a school, professional school nurse. I would just go there and say, Auntie, when we went to Confanoche, this is what happened. She said, okay, let's do it. Can we help? How can we come in? and it took a lot of burden off me. If not, with the catheterization that we were doing for it, I would have had to hang around the school and catheterize every 2 hours.
I see.
Yes.
I mean, let me go back to Patrick because he's been silent for a while. I mean, you've heard her story. You've heard the fact that she even didn't have the schools in Accra taking in her children. Tell me about the support system available for children with such conditions. I mean, doctors say they usually don't even survive beyond the first year or so.
True, yeah.
But we have certain instances like Alpha's baby. I mean, we're supposed to be joined by Dorcas Magitation. If I stand to be corrected, the oldest surviving survivor of spinal bifida and hydrocephalus. She was supposed to probably join us and share her experiences with us. I mean, we don't have the schools, we don't have the support system for such babies.
Yes, thank you very much. I would say it's so pathetic to hear that some schools turn against Alpha's daughter, or mostly children with disabilities, when they are asking for admission in schools. I think Ghana disability law speaks against it, but I think the enforcement of the law should be taken to hand, because the law says that there's no way one should discriminate against a person with disability from admission. So far as the person, and the law is also looking at inclusion education in the mainstream education for persons with disability. If the person does not have complex disability issues or multiple disability issues, and with the Alpha's or person with spinal bifida and hydrocephalus, the issue is the incontinence and then mobility. That is the problem. But the IQ is working, and that should be one motivating factor that schools should take capitalize upon and admit them. So on this platform, we are doing a lot. We have issues. We most of the time receive issues from parents about schools. I remember last time I was at Joso Yaokwe. I visited a family who has a child with a condition at Yaokwe. And there was a boy, a spinal bifida boy. I think the boy might be around 7 years or 7, 8 years. And I asked of the education of the child. And the mother said they also find it difficult getting a school for the child. And eventually when they had a school for the child, when the child, he's grown before getting to school, and in the mix of his colleagues, the way he walks, because of the spinal, fine, he could stand up, but he has to be moving with the knee joined together, just hopping, and the student will be making fun of him, and because he's grown, he also will beat them, and based on that, the school has to dismiss the child from the school, that he can't be there and be bullying the student. Then so when the parent told me about it, I said, no, the headmaster have no right to do this. Because according to the child, the student also laugh at him based on his condition. So the only way he can also pay back is to bully them, beat them. And so it has to speak to the student to accept the child. Education has to go so that they accept. So I think the GES has a lot of work in educating the school owners and even the teachers to accept that. So as a foundation, what we did is, I think somewhere 2019 or 2020, we started advocacy in the teacher training schools. So we went to Wesley College of Education in Kumasi to educate the students there about the spinal bifida and hydrocephalus, because they will eventually end up in classroom. So when they get to have much knowledge about the condition, probably when they meet the child with such condition, they will know how to be able to cater for the child, ranging from the capacity, the mind capacity, the mental capacity of the child, to the physical movement of the child. They will be able to take care of them. We did that. And I think we did one also with the St. Monica's at Kumasi as well. So we've been educating the students, the teacher training schools, for them to have the understanding of what disability is and how they can also take care of. I think through that we have some of the teachers the students to join our group. So we have some of them being a volunteer, joining us when we go for trips and that stuff. And that's what we are doing there. But I think there's more for us to do on this education, on the inclusive education for persons with disability, and especially with spinal bifida and hydrocephalus. As Ifaku said, hydrocephalus is a complex, caring for persons with spinal bifida and hydrocephalus is a very complex thing. Comes with a whole lot of multidisciplinary approaches to be able to care for the child. Yes, so in the school, and you know our school settings, especially with the government school, we don't have this nursing, the hospital bay or the clinic base that will take care of a child with such a condition and that stuff. And these are all to the ministries to make sure that we have a facility that will accommodate the saying there is a law, then it means that the other equipment, other things that needs to make sure that their law can be implemented and can work well should be in place. And that's what we are there to also foster advocacy on the policy implementations and others.
Okay, so let me come to Alpha, because I mean, can you share with us the cost or the implications of raising a child with you've told us about the emotional bit, the psychological bit, and even the school, but let's talk about the health system. I mean, how easy was it for you to even access health care, and even the cost involved, because this is a specialized treatment she needs, and sometimes you may have to even lose your job or even sell all you have.
It's true.
Yeah.
When I gave birth to her, first and foremost, the moment I gave birth to her, I got to know there and then that I need to quit my job. Then I was working for a lady who has a travel agency, and I had to quit. And then that was what motivated me to, whilst at home taking care of my child, I used the opportunity to work on establishing my own. Because I realized at this point in time, I cannot work for anyone. I had to rather get something doing that at the end of the day I can help my daughter, like take care of her. So she's like, everywhere I go, she's with me.
Yeah.
Yes, and at the same time, focus on my job as well. And that is how the most challenging aspect, and it affects your social life. You don't have a life anymore. Your life is your child, because you can tell somebody, "Oh, yeah, somebody can give you an invite. Yes, I'll make it." And at 11th hour, your child will start. The temperature will be high, blah blah blah, and you would have to stay home, and that makes it. It doesn't look funny. Like always, you are disappointing somebody when it comes to meeting here and there. And the other aspect is, I am grateful that Patrick made mention of the teacher training, and I'm being honest here that even most medical nurses and doctors, they don't know about hydrocephalus and spinal bifida. On several occasions, I had to go to a particular hospital and I fight with them. You don't treat a child with spinal bifida and hydrocephalus, you don't treat the child in the same way you treat a normal child. Yeah. I'm sorry to say normal child, but my child is a special child, yes. And she needs a special attention, okay. The moment I sit in front of the doctor, I rather give the history of my child, just so to guide you as to what decision to make. And I always want the doctors to run a thorough test so that we can get to the bottom of it. You tell the doctor, can we do a UT, a scan, a test to check the urine? So, oh, there's nothing wrong with the urine. I'm sorry, I'm paying for it. I beg you, can we do it? Yeah. And I got to a time, my child was really sick, and I had to take her to a particular hospital, a children's hospital, well-known children's hospital. And then the doctor said, "Madam, we are not getting they looked for 2 veins they didn't get." And my child's temperature was so high. Initially, she told me that, "Madam, this one, we will have to admit her at least 24 hours so that we can get some of the drugs. We have to give it through the vein." I said, "Okay." Only for them to do 1 or 2 trials, and then the doctor will tell me, "Madam, this one day you have to take her home, and then we will write an oral med." I said, "Are you kidding me? Why am I here? This is the hospital." Yeah. And then we had to do back and forth until a nurse told me, "Oh, we know you very well. Your daughter, because we know you've been coming here a lot. That's why, like this one, we wouldn't waste much time we would have asked you to take her home and then give oral medicine. That day, the doctor, in fact, he had his own. The nurses, everybody did. So not only that, even at any other place, you go there and you mention, this is my daughter's condition, and some of the doctors can discourage, hey, you have a child like this, and you are really suffering, and this is not how a professional should behave. Why? You should, if a mother is not that strong, you break her completely. We know we are suffering. Must you just let us know we are suffering? You shouldn't. Rather, encourage us, motivate us. You can do it. These are difficult times. Yes, but we know we will go through gradually. But by so doing, with those kind of talks, discouraging words, a lot of mothers come home, they call me, they cry, because they were referred to particular specialists, and the specialists started discouraging them. Do you know they cannot read? Do you know they cannot sit down? Do you know your child cannot do this? Do you know your child cannot do that? And at the end of the day, we have to come back and then we speak with these mothers. So I think not only teachers, but even some nurses and doctors, I am sorry to say, some do not know. Like when it comes to the neurosurgeons, I neuro nurses, which I'm so grateful to most of them at Comfort Noche. They really did a very great job there. And it's rather unfortunate that some nurses and doctors, they have no knowledge about it.
Does the NHIS cover?
I am sorry, NHIS, per the bills that I received, I don't know how much NHIS covered, but I bought all my drugs. I was given one form to get a medication down there, and the para was like, it doesn't do it, it's not going anywhere. So I said, look here, can you buy it for me? Because they know this type of medicine is not working for this child. And at the end of the day, NHIS should also cover their shame by bringing something to at least let us see that they are also doing something. But I bought all my drugs myself. I have all my receipts, all my drugs. The only thing that it covered, they told me, was the theater medication. You know that's IV fluid. Yeah. That's they told me it covered. Yeah. But when after we went to theater 3 times before my daughter passed away, the first one, when the bill came, I opened my mouth. The second one, when the bill came, was like, wow. And when she died, the third bill that came, we had it.
So, I mean, how frequent did she need medical intervention? Because, I mean, I remember we've been chatting since November or so last year, and each time you were in the hospital. How frequent did she need to be in the hospital?
My daughter was at the hospital almost every month. Almost every month because of UTI. So when we started with the catheterization, and even the catheterization that we were doing to bring out the stat PP was also bringing out another infection altogether. Because of the bringing out of the catheter, you sterilize it, you pass again, you sterilize, you pass again. So it was also bringing another issue altogether. So almost every month, minimum every 2 months, we are there. At Comfort Noche. Yes, it's either we have annual appointments, or we are going to see a doctor, pedics, or we are going to get a CT scan, which was not also cheap, almost 1,200 for a CT scan. That is outside. When we had Comfort Noche, it was a bit down.
So was there a point in time in your life you felt so overwhelmed, you felt like giving up, maybe?
Yes, there was a particular point in time when we were there at the hospital, and I realized she didn't have veins. We had to go and do central line, and the central line that we were even paying for, we had to, I don't know if it was a queue or something. and a doctor would just go there for about 3-4 times, and they would say, we are coming, we will do it, blah blah blah, and it was not working. And meanwhile, she was on a particular drug that was supposed to be given, and so we would pause the drug because there was no vein for days. Then a doctor will come and try, we will get a vein. 24 hours to 48 hours, the vein will get full. We will change the medication. So we got the central line. Before we got there, I was like, I remember the day that I got my peak was when she was spiking and we needed to give medication. All the nurses were down. Appel needs her medication. What are we going to do? And they were all worried. They didn't know what to do. And as professionals as they were, they couldn't come closer to. So you see, they will be talking among themselves. She needs her medication. And so what they did was that they had to let us go down to see a group of doctors, and about 4 doctors. See this small little girl, one hand, a doctor was using one, because of the series of surgeries at the foot, there was nothing like a vein on the foot.
That's too much for her.
So they would just do here and here, and this one will do this one would, and she wouldn't cry anymore. She would just look at me. She's like, she's communicating, looking at me. So I told them that it's enough. Please, let's take my daughter upstairs. I'm paying for central line. What is going on? Get it down for me. Until they told me to come and it will be done. When they got the central line, I got relieved. I was really happy, and I knew we were going home. That was after she passed away. So I got tired, and I became...
She got tired herself too.
And I became so stressed when we were not getting the line, and the medications were there. It's like it's supposed to be a continuous thing. But the moment we pause, we have to start all over. And that means it's not working. And a lot of antibiotics were going into her system, strong antibiotics. And I was scared. So I asked them, what's the negative effect of all these antibiotics? And sometimes they, you know, as professionals what they are, they wouldn't want to talk much, but they were really positive that everything was really going on, which I was also positive.
Okay, so Patrick, you run an NGO which is health-based. You advocate for spinal bifida and hydrocephalus. You've told us about the awareness you've been creating, but you've also heard our focus's story. I mean, it's not just peculiar to just her. You've heard others as well. You know what their needs are. What have you done? Have you approached government, I mean, to ensure that NHIS is working on their behalf? What have you done as a health advocacy organization?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, let me tackle from the NHIS side. With the NHIS, you know, during the World Hydro Day, we invited NHIS, and we heard from the NHIS rep that NHIS does not cover the treatment of spinal bifida and hydrocephalus. And that's one thing that after that we spoke with her, and she said she's going to deliver a message to her boss and get back to her, has not gotten back to us.
And I'm sure that's the end of the story.
That's the end of the story. You know, Ghana, everything is the pipeline, but it doesn't get anywhere. And this is the situation that we find ourselves. We are trying as much as possible we can do. Now, what we want to do, we have been doing now is we try to support with the payments of the bills, and try to support with the provision of some of the equipment, the medications, and then the other thing that used for the surgery, like the shunts. So, for instance, with the Alphacus own, we came in to help with the shunts for the surgery to be conducted. At Rage, we have also been supported with some the shunts for the surgeries to be conducted. At Kolebu, we have been supporting with shunts as well. Sometimes a parent also will call you for surgery is done, but there's still some bills to pay. We also come in to help to pay some of the bills for them when there's fund. When there's no fund, we also liaise with some groups and some social welfare departments also to come on board to help to cater for the bills so that they can collect. So I remember vividly there was a mother at Rich Hospital, who contacted us that after the surgery she has to pay at least 6,000 cedis and something, and she has no money to pay the bill. So we have to come in to speak with the management of the hospital to reduce the cost of the bills for the child. So I think in the negotiation, it came to where the hospital decided to, waiver 40% of the cost from the bill. So that's what happened, and we communicate to the family. The family raised some, and we also support with the 60% so that we're able to clear off the mother from the hospital. So this what we are doing to ease them a bit with the pressure of financial pressure on the family as a health advocacy. Now what we want to champion, or as I said, the NHIS, and then how we can also, we are finding out how we can liaise with some health insurance institutions within the country, that if they can cooperate with us to help them in terms of the cost, so that if they can register with them, and then with the percentage they will take the cost, so that it will reduce the cost burden of managing spina bifida and hydrocephalus. Not only the surgical, because as Alpha also was talking, he's talking of the rehabilitation, and then even all sorts of rehabilitation. When I talk of rehabilitation, it's a very broad, from the physical rehabilitation, from the occupational rehabilitation, and then the occupationals and others all come into it, and the neurodisability development rehabilitation, all these comes into the rehabilitation treatment, and it's a very expensive thing.
It is. But we are talking about folic acid awareness week. And one of the issues that stand out is folic acid supplementation, maybe among students in the schools, and even fortifying our foods with folic acid and all that. I don't know whether your NGO has got any role to play, and if you've identified any challenges that can be improved upon.
Yes, I think there was an article that I read from ECOWAS that was talking of food fortification, and according to we have the National Fortification Alliance and other agencies that works with food fortification. There's also a need for civil society organization to raise awareness, and also make sure that implementation of the policy is effective, and monitoring the policies. So that's where we come in to liaise with the organization that are in charge of food fortification, especially with the Food and Drug Board. So you realize that this year we are bringing on board Food and Drug Board to tackle the policy on food fortification here in Ghana. The amount of milligrams that is being required for, is it adequate or need to be improved? If it need to be improved, then how do we go by it? Now we also have to look at the challenges that are all the food that we are taking going according to the policies. Are they fortified? I know some cereal food are fortified, some cereal foods are not fortified. And these are some of the things that we'll be discussing to make sure that, because after the policy is being passed, there should be an agency that will put the government on its toe to make sure that those policies are working. And that's where the civil society, like we, come in. Because the mother organization, that's the Federation for Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus, is a partner to the ECOWAS chapter that is under food fortification. So that's where we also have to make sure that in our country here, when it comes to food fortification, we also have to champion it and create the awareness where that we make sure that our food are fortified with folic acid, so that at least even if you don't buy the folic acid supplement, with the food that you are eating, at least there is some adequate folic acid in it that could help build the body cells as well. And that's what the organization is fighting for right now.
So our focus, having gone through the experience you have and sharing with us your final thoughts, can you tell us what you would want to see done or changed or improved for survivors of spina bifida?
Yes, my major concern is the after treatment, after surgery for these kids. You know, I have these mothers that I follow up, and I go to Confanoche and other hospitals, and after they've been discharged, sometimes you don't even know what becomes of the child. Okay, these kids are just left, and some mothers do not even know that the kids do not have control over the idea. You ask them and they will tell you it has not been communicated to them, and it's not all of them that's educated. Most of them, they can't read, they can't write. So I think when it comes to this very condition, after the treatments, we need to educate these mothers, make follow-up. And my biggest wish is for folic acid to be given free to these kids, to the adolescents at the secondary schools, so that we can at least eradicate. We cannot do away with it completely. Definitely we might have one or two, but at least we can reduce the number of children that comes into this world with hydrocephalus and spina bifida. The pain they go through, the psychological trauma, it's not easy.
It's overwhelming.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. My guest today has been Patrick Kusi Isuman. He's Executive Director of Rick Men's Foundation, a health-based NGO championing the cause of spina bifida and hydrocephalus. And we also we had Alpha sharing her story. Although she lost her baby, we are really grateful she was able to join us to share her story. She is a travel consultant, an entrepreneur, and also an advocate for spina bifida. The World Health Organization is saying that mandatory fortification of foods with folic acid is a cost-effective measure to reduce neural tube defects in babies or even affected pregnancies or high-risk pregnancies, and it only requires a change of behavior among our leaders. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you do take your folic acid daily.